And welcome back to Career Build Series 2023. This is episode 22. And so we're continuing work on the Seaplane here, making really good progress. Currently just playing with the cats, trying to get the exhaust working precisely the way I want it to. The cats will do some back pressure, some resistance, and so I have to kind of get them right. See if I want them, see if I'm do exhaust deletion. I haven't decided yet. I changed the p-values to back to 20. That was running well. Go ahead for a quick little flight. I want to hook up the gyro. It's working really well now. I just want to put the gyro in to kind of tune that even more. Get a little bit of rambunctious RPS here. So that needs some very fine tuning. But we're up to, what are we doing here? 103, 104 knots I've got this up to. So we're running well. We're running well with cats. One cat on there. Two cats I think might be too much and chokes this out. So I have to kind of be careful of that. Might do exhaust deletion. The whole thing is, some of these glitches and whatnot, people call it cheating and silliness like that. It's not cheating. It's a single player, generally, building game. And a lot of us are trying to achieve realistic results in a game that's not perfectly realistic. And so what are we doing? We're making a little XML change to make things perform better. An XML change I made to make this float correctly. And so catalytic converters are used. I didn't mean to do that at all. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, and I hit it. I was not trying to steer into that sucker. They're catalyzing the exhaust often with platinum. That's why people steal catalytic converters for the platinum. And it makes the exhaust chemicals less polluting, essentially. And so, as you see in game, we have ridiculous amounts of smoke. Modern exhaust systems, they don't produce this much smoke. A lot of the smoke has to do, it's unburned particles essentially. So you have portions of the fuel that's not burned. So as you have a more efficient engine that burns more of the particles, you're not getting that smoke anymore. And so people like myself dislike that smoke. So one of the things you can do is exhaust deletion. So the cats were a great idea, but the cats, are not perfect out the gate. The devs did not make them perfectly, and so we have to kind of make a decision. Ideally, you could put one cat on there, and all the cat would do is delete smoke. If you want to delete smoke, they would delete smoke. But the devs did them in a way where they're also restricting the flow, and you restrict flow of your exhaust, and you often kill your engine. So I'm just going to yank them for now. If I can come up with a cat system let's try it. I don't know. Is it worth trying? Let's try it. I like to make them without doing a glitch, but let's try it. Let's go. I'm going to need two cats, it looks like. Let's put two cats on here. If it chokes out my engines, if I'm not getting the performance, I'm going to delete it. And so, again, this is using a glitch not to get an unfair advantage, but to essentially make the game work more realistically. I'm not putting this in some multiplayer world, trying to do something that I am disadvantaging my competition. That's when people say it's cheating. Yeah, if you're in a competitive environment, like, for example, Escape from Tarkov, one of my other favorite games, has a lot of cheaters. Yeah, that's a competitive environment where somebody's cheating is negatively affecting your gameplay. So if you're going into a multiplayer environment and you're doing something that's doing that, I get that. Like you're doing XML missiles that are causing an unfair advantage in a multiplayer environment, yeah, that could be considered cheating. But you know what? At the end of the day, I want to cut down my frustration. I want to make things fun. And so things like changing the buoyancy with the rockets, motors, it increased my fun by having a plane that I don't have to do unrealistic things to make it float right. And I want to be able to run my engines. And you know what? If I get to the point where those cats are choking my engines too much, I'm not getting the performance I want, I'll do exhaust deletion. So again, at the end of the day, like I said, it's not offering a competitive advantage at the expense of somebody else's fun. It is making my game more fun as I'm playing single player. All right, so why are we getting smoke on that engine? That's two cats, and okay, that's fine. A little bit of smoke like that's fine. So let's check our speed. Perfect. Okay, so that's good. We're running. We're running fine. 14. Well, that's fine. So we're running really well here. I'm getting good speed. It's giving me smoke intermittently, which I don't mind. I like the design. I like the look of it. So, good. All right. So, engines are up and running. Beautiful. All right, and let's go in here, and I want to start doing a little bit of control stuff. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to let's try to get this control working a little bit better. So my pitch is WS. Pitch is overly sensitive. That's going to come down to, let's go to 5% on that. AD is way too. Let's go down to 2% on AD. Left, right, yaw. Yaws, I don't need a lot of yaw, so let's go down to 3. I'll end up putting my system on there that it auto yaws a little as it rolls, because we're missing an aerodynamic component that as you roll, you're changing your lift vector. As you change your lift vector, it is also curving you, and like in game, we need to tap more rudder than we would in real life. Let's put it that way. All right, so let's see if we can do this without gyro. Probably I end up putting in the gyro anyways. It just works nicely. I don't have enough pitch authority on my propellers because of that. That's fine. So let's see. Okay, I definitely don't have enough pitch authority. Whoa. Yeah, so I'm going to gyro this out. I think that's just going to be better. I can get it pretty close, but the gyro is helping give me that final smoothing. Essentially, a good way to think of it is this. In real life, wow, if I can keep the camera from flicking 380 degrees, or 180 degrees. So the air comes up over the wing. Air comes down below the wing. All right. So you have air coming out, and it's pushing on the top of this aileron. You have air coming underneath. It's also pushing on the bottom of this aileron. That gives it static stability. So ideally, the aileron wants to stay in position. In game, we really don't have that effect, and so what's happening is it's allowing us to get constant instabilities, and so the gyro is essentially, it's making fine-tune corrections to fix those things for us. And so let me quickly just put these back the way I had them. Let's go back to 10s. Often I do the sensitivity moving in the gyro anyways. You know, like I said, there are, you know, arguably better gyros on the workshop, but, you know, people say this one's trash. You know, you see it constantly. Stock gyro is useless. Stock gyro is useless. Every one of my airplanes has the stock gyro except maybe one. Every one of them. It's not useless. If I went through and I interrogated that person and asked them about their aerodynamics knowledge, about their aviation knowledge, as somebody who is a professional in this and has a degree in this, I would say that person probably does not know how to fundamentally set up an airplane, which is understandable, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're not a professional in that industry. And so, you know, their aircraft, again, like I said, if your aircraft is pretty damn close to how it should be and it's flying really, really well, you're not going to have, the gyro is going to do very little work. People are expecting the gyro to do miracles for them, and part of it is because there are certain games where if you put on ailerons, they just work. And it's because the game is cheating. It's not making you have to balance your center of gravity. And you can make really weird looking airplanes that just work. Why? Because the game is cheating. Essentially, the game is saying, okay, most people don't know how aerodynamics work, so I'm just going to fix it myself. You know, and so that's what happens. And so, you know, I am building my aircraft in a better way. That's why I put out the aerodynamics tutorial, was to kind of show you, yeah, center of gravity needs to be in line with center of lift. And you can get some really stable aircraft that perform like real aircraft. And then when you go to the gyro, you're not asking the gyro to do let me fix something really quick. Let me go down, let me do sensitivity in the gyro. Generally, I'll run these down to like 20%. And so the more unstable your aircraft is, the worse it's set up. For example, so let's look real quick. So see where my center of gravity is? That's my CG right here. Now, you would think center of gravity is right middle of the wing. Let's say it is. Let's say the center of gravity is here. But you're forgetting this. This has lift, right? This makes lift. This makes lift with its control surfaces, right? So your horizontal tailplane is also making lift. So yeah, your lift might be here, but because you have this way out on the tail, that's one of the reasons why the tail is so long. The longer the arm here, the more torque that tail can give, the smaller the control surfaces have to be. You have a short tail, big control surfaces. Longer tail, you can have smaller control surfaces. And so the center of lift might be here, but because we have a horizontal tailplane also making lift, let's say that this is our center of lift, this green square here. Let's say it's here, right? As we add that tail plane, it might drag it back to here, so it's in line with the center of gravity. And so that's where you want it. If you put your center of lift right here above the center of gravity, well, guess what? You could pick it up straight here with the wing, and it's not going to tip down. It's not going to tip the other way, right? It's like a seesaw, right? You're putting your fulcrum here. Just like a seesaw, if you put your center of lift is actually here and your center of gravity is here, well, what's it going to do? It's going to tip the tail down. It's going to pick the nose up. So your nose is always going to want to go up. Well, what's going to have to happen? You're going to have to counteract it with the tail. So that means an amount of your elevator is dedicated to fixing the instability you built into your craft. And so then you plug it into a gyro and you expect the gyro to fix all of your problems. Well, guess what? It can't, because it doesn't have enough control surface, or you're having to ram these numbers up because it's so, you built it so unstable that it's just having to do a ton of work. And so it's better to, follow something like my aerodynamics tutorial and kind of see how to properly build these aircraft. That's why I made the tutorial, was I was seeing a lot of people having this issue and trying to help. All right, so let's take off with the gyro now. Wow. Okay. What happened there? What happened there? Where's my pitch hooked up there? Pitch WS there. Prop. Oh, you know what it is? This one needs to be inverted. Okay. That was going the opposite direction. It just kept going opposite because it, that one just went crazily opposite because it, as it was pitching its nose down, it was making it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay. I don't like taking off in third person, but I'm going to just make it easy to see. There we go. As you can see, we don't have that nose pitch down. What's going on here? So let me do this. So let's do a hard connection here. I still have to work on this water stability. I've done this a bunch of times with all of my different aircraft, and so I'm going to continue. I'll end up doing them on this too. What is this here? Collect. Okay. I screwed this all up, dude. All right, I screwed this all up. Ugh, pain. All right, so this is gonna go WS. Okay, so see, I use this for like 9 different things. That's the problem, is I keep using this panel for 9 different things. At this point, it's just an inversion panel. That is my prop pitch inversion there. Okay, pitch is not inverted. Pitch should be fine like this. I might want no gyro on there to make it more responsive. Let's test it once with the gyro. If that gives me problems, I will do it without gyro. Like, for example, I don't put my rudder generally through the gyro. Don't need it. Sometimes I do just for the nose wheel. Actually, I'll keep the actual rudder out of the gyro and then use the gyro for the nose wheel. Okay, there we go. So we're good there. All right, so now hands off. Let's trim, trim, trim. So we're gonna get a little smoke as it gets through that burn range there. All right, so really nice, stable. So now this flies even better than it did before. I want it to have some weight. It's one thing I notice is, again, people don't have flight experience, so they make things as though they are all fighter jets, and they're not. This airplane should probably never see a roll in its life, And so this nice slow roll is what you want. That's maximum roll speed. I probably want a little bit more, but not much. Pitch is nice. Pitch could maybe go up, I don't know, 2%, 5% at most. Pitch is pretty good. Let's feel pitch out. All right, so the other thing I tend to add is I add my rudder in. So let's add a little rudder in there on my roll. So I'll auto add some rudder in there because that's aerodynamically how it does. As you change your lift vector, your vector is pulling you this way as well, and that's helping you in your bank. So you don't really need any rudder like when I was, depends on the aircraft. Let's put it that way. You have things like P factor, airflow going over the tail. This wouldn't have any P factor because the propellers are turning counter-rotating, so I could have P factor. Could have a little bit of P factor, I'm not sure. As the way the airflow. So the airflow is going to hit one side of the rudder more than the other. This probably would. I don't know how much two propellers blowing into each other would disrupt it. Alright, so I'm going to end up, I'll put in my auto rudder system. So it's not completely auto rudder, it adds some rudder as I roll. And that gives it realistic performance. Again, I'm doing things to make it perform realistically. So let's see, where are we at here? Let's check our max speed. Yep, we're still doing 104 meters per second, which is 202 knots. I wanted to hit 200 and we're there, so that's good. Have that set up. So I just changed the maximum throttle setting there to get to that. So, last episode I did a quick little spreadsheet with some math showing you how at max efficiency we're losing a lot of the fuel burn, but we're not losing as much speed. And so that is great because, and it's really illustrative here, is we're doing something in the neighborhood about 20, around, that's banging from 15 to 19. That's hitting the rev limiter. I have to fix that p-value, but we're going 104 meters per second. We're at 20 RPS. We're going to be burning a good bit of fuel. If we go to 100 prop, we start loading up our engine. As we load up our engines in this case, we start putting on that load. The engine can't do as much work. Starting to cut down. And we actually have a higher speed now because I changed my max throttle, which is fine. And you notice we lost... So we're down, so we've gone less than 50% of the fuel burn, and we are down to 77 meters per second there, and we've only lost less than 30% of the speed. So we've lost 50% of the fuel burn, more than 50% of the fuel burn, for less than 30% of the speed loss. So you tell me that saves me a lot of money. And so the math I did last time, that's based on the old numbers. Now I have new numbers, but that was coming out that it's going to take us an extra I forget the number on it. It's going to take us an extra maybe, I don't know, half an hour, less than half an hour to get there, the same distance, and we're going to be spending about half of the money on fuel. So, and the nice thing with this is it gives us a range. Let's say, okay, well, I don't care about the money that much, but I do want to be economical, but I want to get there pretty fast. I can go out at 75%. Now my speed's going to go up even more. I get more fuel burn. I got a little bit more fuel burn, so now we're constantly changing that ratio between how much money we're spending on the fuel versus how fast we're going, and we can change that. I hate it when I visually can't tell how fast the propeller is moving, so I'm going to check them. So that is going 1051. Wow, what's up with this now? I screwed something up. No wonder we're having speed issues here. I was wondering why the speed changed so crazy. Look at that. The rear engine's doing 4.46 RPS. This one's doing 10. I was wondering why this one's screwy. I have to see what's up with these engines now. I bet I screwed something up with the throttle. Oh, you know what it is? I bet this got disconnected and that's still at 100% throttle. I was wondering, I was like, there's no way that changing that one value would have changed the speed that much. Let's go in here. I bet I screwed up this here. Okay, that's 25. What are you reading? You're going here. Going to the back. Propeller there, collective. Okay, let's check all of this stuff here. That's set to 20. Okay, that's fine. What are you set to here? You should be set to 20. 20.25, okay. What are you set to there, guy? 0.25. That's interesting to me. I wonder why that's happening. Let's go ahead and let's check. I need to make sure I don't click on that. 3.31. You have to be very careful I don't click on my rocket, those two rockets. That's the bad spot from where I put them. 3131. That's interesting to me. Let's check the actual prop pitches. Make sure I'm getting proper prop pitches here. All right, that's rotating fine. Yeah, see, that's going to max prop pitch. Okay, let's go back the other way. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this. I have to look at it. So let's fire it up and see what the heck is going on here. Because my front propeller was not changing pitch, it didn't look like. Or it wasn't loading the engine up. So that was weird, man. So you notice how the boat's still diving in. I'm going to fix that with actual water fins that are going to be in there for when it's in the water. This could be an exhaust issue. Yeah, see, the top one's going nuts. The top one's giving me a good height. This one's working well. This one is nuts. What is going on? See, this one is my front engine. Front engine's giving me a really high RPS. You can tell the difference in the prop rotation. I don't know. What's up with this, man? That is interesting. Yeah, see, this one's going nuts. This one is solid as rock. I don't know what's up with that. I have to look at it. I didn't mean to do that. Let's take a quick look at this. I want to get this figured out. Because, again, this is a fundamental of how this aircraft's going to work, and I don't want to screw this up here. All right, I'm not doing exhaust deletion accidentally on one of these anymore, am I? Okay, no exhaust deletion. 2 cats, no problem. Again, somebody told me I wasn't going to be able to make this work, or I shouldn't do this, and I always have to kind of... It's a competition to myself. When somebody tells me I can't do something, I tend to try extra hard to make sure I can do it. And, you know, it's not necessarily as toxic as it might sound, but it's the benefit of that is, you know, that's you learn some new things doing these things, and you get better. I don't want to make 2 changes at once. I'm trying not to do that. All right, so I'm just checking the actual engine dynamics, make sure this looks pretty close. It does. Okay, so the other thing is I need to check the p-values here. This definitely has a point. These definitely have the same p-values. Why is that one running? That one's running funky. The front is running funky compared to the rear. Let's put it that way. The front is running funky compared to the rear. I wonder if it's... I doubt it's the roll component on the prop. Doubt it's that. This is... Let me make sure this is just going into a simple inversion. It is. Make sure I wasn't multiplying that by something. Okay, it's not. That is interesting to me. The front is acting funky, and the rear is acting beautifully. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the p-value here. I'm going to change the p-value on the front engine. See if I can't tune that in. At least play with it, see what it's doing. Because it's acting weird, man. Because, like, see, this one's 3 to 20. 0.1 is that RPS is good. And this one is... Yeah, so this one's also set to 20. I don't know why that's acting so funny. All right, so this one is now plumbed. Which one? So this is the port one, a starboard one rather. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. That is super weird to me. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to manually work the p-value on the front engine to try to get it to behave the same as the rear engine. You know what it could be? No, it's not that. See, the intake, so I'm actually using the side intake. I'm going to switch back to the bottom intake, but I don't want to do that yet. So the intake for the front engine's right here. It's behind the propeller. So it should be getting air off this propeller. This one should be getting air off the front propeller. None of them are getting any more air off the rear propeller, and I don't even think that goes into play. You know, I'd have to test it with a wind speed, but I don't think it works like that in game. All right, so this 2.25 is what we're running with on the rear. Let's go ahead and start this up. Let's get this in the air. I should have hooked up the hover feature just to keep it kind of level so I could do this without having to pay attention to where I'm going. All right, so like right now, it still wants to dive in. What I usually do is I put fins in with a water sensor, and when it senses you're in the water, it will keep the airplane level, and then once they get in the air, they just level out so they don't do anything. All right, so see how this one's acting the fool? This one is acting the fool. I need to trim us here so we're going level. I'm just going to trim us so we're going level. You look at the horizon, you see, are we making any dynamic changes? A little bit of a descent rate. Okay, good. So look at this one, 14.93. So let's go. Let's see, 0.2. This one's behaving a little bit better now. I don't like that I have to set these differently. See, like this one is only at 14.95. This one is now behaving itself at 16.75. Yeah, so I notice I got the oscillation out of there. Let's go 0.19. So see, we have oscillation, then it takes care of itself. 0.25. 0.25, it goes nuts. It doesn't like, so only the front engine too. That's what's freaking me out, man, is it's just that engine. This one is the RPS in the rear, solid as a rock. This one is nuts. Let's do 0.2. So you see how it takes longer? The higher the number I go, the longer it takes to stabilize, but I can get a higher RPS number out of it. That is interesting, man. I don't know what's up with that. That's weird. All right, so I think this new number is going to work better. 0.2. Let's do a little bit of a power change here. Let's decrease a little bit. So you see it jitters a little bit. This one is solid as a rock. See how solid that is? So this one's almost like limited to 15. That's the weird thing. This one's like it's allowed to go up to 20. A little bit of jitter in there. See if we can get rid of the jitter. So let's go down just a hair. Let's go 0.18. Let's do a power change. A little less of a jitter there. 12, 12. These are in line now. A little bit off, but not by much. So that's interesting. See, this one is running a full, oh, what's that, 2 point. That's running a little less than 2 points off of this one. That's strange, man. I can't figure it out right off the top of my head. That's weird, man, because this one might have the extra load from the pitch on the prop pitch. This one doesn't. I wonder if this one's breathing better. Because if it's breathing better, I can put more fuel in there. I don't know. Interesting. So let's do this. Let's recall it. See how far we are already. This has a good speed to it. All right. So the front is, if I can remember the number, 0.18. 0.18, I think, is a good number for that front one. So let's do that. 0.18. So I guess I'm glad that I'm starting to run them both independently here on microcontrollers because I'm going to need to. All right, this one, are we still hooked up to the p-value here? I think we are. Let's go p-value. Let me tune in this back one. Try to get this one. This one behaves nicely, so I don't want to screw with it too much, but it's the RPS value is much lower than the other one. Let me check all the nodes, make sure I'm not reading incorrectly here. So this one is RPS is off the correct engine, air, clutch, that's good, fuel's good. Might be getting a little bit of different fuel, I don't know, man. All right, I'm gonna play with that p-value, see what I can do. Let me make sure the engine's reading off the right one, that one's reading off the correct one, that one's reading off the correct one, engine. Yeah, I don't know. That's very strange to me. So, I don't think the cylinder count's different. No, the cylinder count's not different. They were copies, and I haven't deleted out any cylinders that I know of. Let's see, we're putting in a new value for this. So let's try 0.25 was working. Let's stick that in. Still forgot to put in the auto hover. I don't use auto hover when I use auto hover when I put on the autopilot just as essentially a damping system. Okay, so we're up. Let's go full throttle. Let's get level. That pitch that I left in last time should be good for this. All right, so that one is solid as a rock now. That's good. Let's increase this one to, I don't know, 0.4. That's annoying. You'll pay attention for 1 second and it dives it into the drink. Kind of annoying. Let's go like this here. Where's 5? Let's do 4 just so I don't accidentally shut the engines off. There. So that's going to turn on the auto hover on the gyro, which all that really does is it locks in and it tells it you want to be level in all. You want to be zeroed essentially in all axes. 0.25, start it up. Okay, let's take off. So I think what we'll do, we'll work on next is, if I can get this done. So let's hit 4. So 4 is going to keep us straight and level so I can do my tests without having to watch if I'm going to end up in the drink. All right, that is solid as a rock. This one's still running high for some reason. I don't know why. It could be air intake. You know, if it's taking in more air than the other one is, it'll be breathing better. I'm gonna move the other intake down below there anyway. All right, so let's play with this. So currently it's at there. Let's go 0.3. So we're not so this seems like it's locked at a lower value. It really does. And this one's locked at 20. I'll have to figure out what the hell's going on here. Let's go 1 just to see if I can't crack this up. See, so... Huh. Remember that back one was giving me problems before? Let's go to 0.18 where the other one is. Okay, so that's giving me... Okay, so this, let me do a little reduction. Solid as a rock. Solid as a rock. This needle wants to jabber about. This one does not want to jabber at all. I don't know. This one, it's almost like the p-value is going up higher. I don't know. Weird. It's interesting. You know what? The other thing... no. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss what's causing that. It's more of an interest that I'm interested at this point than anything else, but this is flying really well. Roll's a little bit slow. Pitch. Pitch is like... If you pitch like this in real life, people would be screaming. You would put them... They would fly up and hit the ceiling. So, again, it's in-game. I notice people make their pitch and roll way too sensitive for real life. Again, do what you want. It's game. Play it like an arcade if you like. I have no problem with that. But I'm just saying, comparatively to real life, when I'm trying to build something, you know, realistic, that's why it moves slow like that. So let's go another 5% on the roll. All right, so what did I come up with? 0.18 for both sides. I'm happy with the results and the numbers. It's just weird that this is like that. It is really weird to me. So 0.18. Plug that in. Okay. Let's go to the gyro. Let's go on roll. Let's go another 5 on roll. Now let's work on this dynamic. I'm trying to not come up with a brand name for it. So generally what I do with my seaplanes is, let me show you. I can't launch. I'm going to say I can launch the Cormorant. I can't launch the Proteus anywhere other than a blue hangar. Like, see, that won't go. Here's the Cormorant. So here's the Cormorant, which was last build series plane. Now this looks pretty tiny because it's proportionally set to be tiny. This sucker is pretty big compared to the one we're currently working on. Let me bring it in and show you the size difference here. You know, this new plane is much longer, but fatness-wise, actually this is a bit bigger. But this one here looks pretty tiny. But if you go inside here, it is pretty large in there. This was the one from last time. This one's nice. So the other thing too is I don't like to say goodbye to my vehicles, especially if they work well. Cormorant works beautifully, and I've been wanting to make a twin-engine seaplane. And one thing is I was gonna add, you know, this was based off the Republic CB, and there was a twin CB that had 2 engines on the wings here and here. And so I was going to do that, but then I'm like, you know what, I'll build a new one, and I like them to do different things. This one can land on the land, this one can't. That's kind of done on purpose so that they have different uses. All right, and so let me show you on the Cormorant. So this is what it does so it uses the propeller as well to help it get out of the water, but also notice the fins here. So it has these fins, and what happens is when the water sensor here gets wet, so when it knows it's in the water, these fins, all they do is they both go max deflection down. which adds lift. And so what that is simulating is, and so real life, what happens is as you start traversing through the water hits here, it is pushed down. You know, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So the water goes down, well, the plane has to go up. And so it pushes down. And so by skimming on the bottom of the plane, that's less drag. And that allows you to gain speed faster. As soon as you get to your rotation speed, the wing can now produce lift, and it can lift off. This was actually has a double thick wing, so that's interesting. You know, the new plane has a single thick wing, but yeah, so that does that, and that helps this get out of the water. That's generally what I do. So let's grab this back, and I would do something like that. I'll hide them at some point, but right now I'm not going to bother hiding them. I'll hide them with an XML piece. So let's do it. So right here, center of gravity is right here, so we want to go ahead of that to add a little bit of lift is all I want to do. So let's go, probably don't need much. Like the Cormorant has one set right there. I'm trying to find a place because I want to be able to XML a block in here because I don't like looking at the fins. And so this will just help me get out of the water. And then as soon as I get out of the water, they go away. So if I put them there, that is going to... I can't really... I'd have to do... Okay, I could do a double... can't do there. That's going to... No, I could do right there. I'm just thinking of an XML block, but the problem is I'll end up looking at it while I'm sitting in the cockpit and it'll drive me nuts. So if I go here, this is how we'll fix this. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I will do... Okay, I was just checking to make sure symmetry was on before I had a sad time of things. All right, so that's going to go like that. And then I want to go... I think I'll do dual fins there, and then I'll put the XML block here. Okay, that's good. All right, so what we're going to do is go here and here, and we're going to keep the solid down. All right, that's good. Let's go inside here and see what the shape is. So what I should be able to do is grab a... I'm just trying to make it... By making it a wedge, I can give myself the most amount of fuel in here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's do this. Let's do that. All right, so that's going to seal that up. Let's paint it. And then this will just make it so that any visibility we can see through there is kind of hidden. Okay, so now we have these two fins. That's going to pick up the front because I really don't care about the tail sticking in the water all that much. What I care about is the front diving in. So this will help fix that. And then I want to grab right at the center of them, and I want to take a meter. So the meter, if the meter senses water, the fluid level will be greater than 0, and so that will control these fins. So I can make it really simple by so just tying that in. So let's say it's in the ocean, right? The ocean has an enormous value. It's going to push those fins all the way down, giving me the most lift. And then as soon as I get in the air, the second I get in the air, this reads 0 for a fluid level. Those 0 out, and they stay 0 the whole time, and it'll just give me a little bit of lift. All right, and then let me see if I have a wedge. Okay, I want to grab, let's see what I have for it. I think I have a 3 wedge somewhere. Wedge by 8, wedge by 7. I think I have a 3 wedge. Here's a 3 wedge right here. So there's an RDXML 3 wedge. And so, again, the way XML works, you're just stretching the block, but the collision stays the same. That's why they leak water. You can seal with them, but you have to keep within the collision. So here's the collision in the middle. And so let's actually, so let's move this here. I'm actually going to paint it first. Let's stick it here. I'm going to paste it here, and I'll paint it. It's easier to paint when it's not in position. So we're painting the center of the block. And so trying to paint that, we have to actually click on the middle block is where the actual paint node is going to be. And so let me see if I can get in there and click it. It's probably not going to let me paint this back here. So one thing you can do too is you can actually go in and we're not going to see that, but I'm doing it in case. So right there, the collision is there. So you notice I left a gap between these two fins. Again, the reason I did it was this has no collisions where the fins are going to be. They're going to stick out. I should have known that was going to happen. Let's see. Yeah, I should have known that was going to happen. Why did I not think that was going to happen? Let's go all the way. Okay, let's go back through here. Just need a different spot for it is all. So probably, let's try here. If I go there, I need to have something to cover it. I'm trying not to take up too much of the... What's that? That is a void. This void here I can work with here. This void here is a good void. I can work with this void here. Just an empty space in here. I just make voids with half blocks sometimes to get the buoyancy up. Let's see. That's good there. All right, so I made a void in the front here. Let's go ahead and I'll leave voids fine. Do a couple fins like this. So one thing I'll often do is if we have any asymmetry on them, I'll go like that. And then I'll put one on this side like so. And that way it just makes sure that if there is any torquing effect that it cancels each other out going opposite directions like that. All right, good. That is there like that. And now I need to put in a stretch block. So let's paint that like that. Let's go ahead and we'll grab, I probably have a 3 block. It's pretty common size. So where are we at here? I think it might actually be this one called 2 block. I think I called it 2 block. It's stretched by 2, which is now that's a proper 2 block. I need to get a 3 block in there. So I'll show you how to, every time you increase the number, so a 2 is adding half on either side to make it 2. So to have a 3, you're actually adding the right amount. So. All right, let's, I can't believe I don't have a 2 block, or a 3 block rather. Let me see. 17, 13, 9, 2 block. Let's try this one. This one might be the right size. This one is. Okay, good. That one's the right size. Stick that in there. So you see now I don't have to see those fins. And again, that's just for realism's sake. You wouldn't be, you wouldn't need these. You'd have hydrodynamics that would help you get out of the water. And then I need to put a meter in there. So this one here that I just did can be a meter. All right, nice. And so this will actually be my water meter. And so every time this skips out of the water, it'll level the fins. Every time this is in the water, it will keep it up. So when I land too, you've noticed probably that I plow my nose into the water when I land. This will prevent that because the fluid level will quickly reach. So these will go a maximum deflection of 1 up. So they'll give us 1 lift. And the so they'll do a max. This is gonna give me issues going backwards. I'm gonna have to put a reverser on there and backwards because if I put my props in reverse and go backwards, this is gonna drag my nose underwater. But let's test it for now. So let's spawn it in. But again, these are all the little tricks to try to make things just work realistically because we don't have perfectly accurate hydrodynamics. We need to do things like this. So you notice the fluid level is about 0.4, that's about half of, half of the max fin deflection. So I probably, well, let's see how it behaves. If I need more, I'm going to have to make a microcontroller for it anyway. So this will help us get out of the water. This will help pick the nose up as we get up at speed. So they're already at, at least a maximum of plus 0.5 each. As we get some speed in the water here, So I need to steer as well, but this will help in that endeavor to get me out of the water. And so now that we're in the air, those will no longer should no longer be effective. They're going to add some lift, but they're not going to add a ton. You know, they'll add some lift because they're at zero. Even at zero, they add lift, but like just little wings. But they're not going to actually be helping to steer the aircraft. A little bit better roll. I'm enjoying the addition of roll there. So what I need to do is, so my prop pitch, you know, I'm using the prop pitch. If you notice, I get a good standard pitch rate, and then it really like kind of yanks me under. I probably can put a clamp on that and fix that. All right, so let's do a landing. Those fins are important for the landing to make sure that they're going to help me. I like this, how this model plane has no pontoons. They call these sponsons, these hips. I always call them hips, but they're sponsons. The sponsons are what keeps it from rolling over. So we're trying to do a nice flat touchdown here. Oof. Going around. Not wise to land directly at a rock wall. Again, I can still make this fly like a fighter if I want, but you know, it behaves like, you know, you can make an airliner fly like this too if you watch like the Paris Air Show especially. They get them doing some stuff. See, it wants to dive when it hits the water. It's not the end of the world, but ideally, you know, those fins should be helping stop that. All right, so I'm really happy with the way this is flying now. This is flying really well. We're actually doing really well here. You know, I'll probably end the episode a little bit early here. It was long the last episode, so really good flight dynamics, good water dynamics. You know, I can taxi this around in the water really well. And then as soon as I want to take off, I can. You know, I'll probably reduce the sensitivity of the throttle. See how nicely we ride on top of the water? Part of that is those fins in the front. You know, I'll probably reduce the throttle sensitivity that way. It takes us a little bit longer to get off and on the water, and it's a little bit more, it's less of me chopping the throttle. You know, as soon as we hit that drag, though, it drags. So, you know, I'll probably put a little microcontroller in the front. Let's do that before I end. I'll put a little microcontroller in to control that because, again, I need to factor in for when we're going backwards, which, you know, especially, you know, I like to land in the lakes up at the Arctic. Okay, so here we are. I'm trying not to nosedive this, so. There we go. All right, so I like to back up, and so because of that, those fins are going to drag the nose down if I don't fix them. So let's quickly do a microcontroller for this. So let's put it in the water really quick. So the fluid meter, so when this is sitting in the water, it's reading a. Come on, read the fluid meter, you ding dong. So see, it's reading about 0.5. So let's double that. Let's make a little microcontroller here. Let's go water fins. All right, so we're going to go in with so the input is going to be the fluid sensor. And the output is going to be the fins. Let's do, fins is fine. All right, and then we're going to go x times 2. And then I need another node on here. Number input, that's linear speed, directional. Okay. So that's going to give me linear speed absolute. If you're going forwards, it gives you, say, a 1. If you're going negative, if you're going backwards at the same speed, it gives you a 1. Directional, if you're going forward 1 meter per second, it gives you a 1. If you're going backwards, it gives you a -1. So I want that negative value. So I need that. And then this is going to be that's going to be a -x times 2. All right, and then I'm going to put in a numerical switch box here. That is like that, and that is like that. And so when we go backwards, it's going to invert the number, that's all. And so pretty simple. All you do is put a less than. So if the linear speed directional reads less than 0, it's going to kick that and give us an inverse setting on the fins. Pretty simple there. Let's hook that all up. And this is also going to give us that +2. So you saw how the fluid sensor is only reading about 0.5. Well, now it's going to be reading 1. Well, 1 is the maximum deflection those fins can give me. So that will now give me a... Okay, so I have to... That's going to read 0. It's less than 0. This might... I'll put a linear in there. I have a regular linear speed. I don't have a linear speed directional in here. So I'll change this one. I know that we have the new block now, but at the time of recording, the block was broken, the physics block, which I'm very happy about, but it's broken, so I'm not going to use that until it's fixed. All right, so let's get in there. Let's see how this performs. So this should be giving us more lift on the nose as we go to take off. So those fins should be at a value of 1. So that's max deflection on the fins. So I'm doing no pitch right now. So I'm not pitching. Remember, I have to pitch with the propellers to counteract the center of thrust issue. I'm not touching it at all. Now the fins are struggling to counteract my thrust being above the center of gravity. Now I'm in a pitch with my propeller rather, I'm sorry. And now here we go. So see that gives us a simulated planing effect that you would have in a real boat just because of hydrodynamic forces. So we're just simulating what would come naturally. So really happy with this. This is working well. This is going to be a great rescue craft. I have 7 seats in there. That's a pretty good rescue size. The tugboat, has a long future ahead of it. There's a lot of stuff that the tugboat can do. It can do barges with fuel. It can still do good sea rescues. And I'll want to use it for that. I can do a bunch of stuff on there. This is going to be good for, let's say, something super far away and I have to do a rescue. This is still seabound. This does not have landing gear. I thought about putting tricycle landing gear in. I'll kind of show you why I haven't. And then we'll finish up with that. I would, part of it is me wanting to have vehicles being different. So if I need to go on the land, I'll bring the cormorant. But another thing of it is, this is a very sleek, realistic design for an aircraft. Of course, they're using thin aluminum. This is 1/4 meter thick. This is a 1/4 meter thick block. So this would be a thin piece of aluminum. This is a 1/4 meter thick block. So that's taken up all this. I can't use any of that. Well, it's also doing it down here. And because what's in here, that's fine. I'm just checking this, making sure this is all sealed up fine. Okay, that's good. So right here, I can't get I have one space, essentially, to try to get a wheel through. Can't do it. If I had this shaped differently down here, which I don't want it shaped beautifully, I'd have to rotate these out as doors to get a nose wheel in there. And then with the new rocket glitch, it's very helpful because with the new rocket glitch, it's very helpful because I don't need to rely on this buoyancy. I can use the rocket glitch to get the buoyancy back. But also, if I wasn't using the rocket glitch, I would lose all the buoyancy in the nose here, and then I'd have to somehow account for that. So, another thought I had was put wheels in here, but I'm literally going to take up almost all of my fuel tanks to do that. And so I think it's better just not to have wheels. and make this a sea-only vessel. And then at some point when I want another plane, either be amphibious or just a regular airplane, then I can go ahead and make another one. And so that's kind of what I like to do, is I like to make it so that I am enticed to make more craft. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll probably do a lot of the work on this off screen and then show it to you. This is at the state. This came together super fast. This one's at the state where I'm going to bang together a cockpit, and it's going to be better just to probably show you guys, hey, this is a completed cockpit, than to do another build video. I'd like to get back into some rescues. I like to try to vary the content up so we have some building, some rescues. I don't want it to be all building. And so, you know, next time you see this, we'll probably have more of a full cockpit or a functional cockpit. Electrical systems will be hooked up. And hopefully we can use this in some missions. So it'll be another tool in our toolbox. And I'll see you later.